hold on. This is exactly the point we're getting at. You guys took $90,000 from a turn lane payment from Wheatland Meadows and you put it towards economic development. You sat here in the commissioner's meeting and did it. You did the impact study request. It was given by her in her disclaimer from her husband for $40,000 for Bridger Brewing. There was also a $24,000 one done for this recreation thing out here. That was a couple weeks ago. I think it was June 25th. The point we're trying to get at is you're nickel and diming the death out of your damn departments here in the county, but you have no damn problem going out and giving people money like the hospital or MBAC or whatever else. You guys need to figure out how to focus your efforts on this building right here and the one that sits next to it. Because that is where the problems are. This nickel and diming us because, oh, we need economic development. We all have caseloads and we all have workloads going through the damn roof because of all this growth. And there's nothing to sustain it. But you guys keep promoting it. Bring them. Bring us your poor, give us your hungry, give us your whatever. Great, but we don't have the resources to keep going with this crap. And I'm sick and tired of it. Every time we turn around, it's like, well, you guys got to find the revenue. No, you're going to have to raise taxes or you're going to have to cut things. You just gave Nicole Brown $29,000 more this year in a public meeting. I sit through every one of these damn things. So don't sit here and tell me I'm a liar. And I really appreciate the fact, Mr. Chairman, if you would actually speak more instead of her sitting here telling us everybody about everything that's going on. You're the chair. It's time to stand up and take some responsibility for the position you hold. Because that's what I do every damn day. And you know what? I work for everybody in the county. I'm not sitting here being a puppet on a damn string.
You know what, Win? Number one, $24,000 that we gave to recreation came from the Canyon Ferry Trust Board. It did not
Steve McCullough asked me why you guys even approved it.
It came from the Canyon Ferry Trust Board. That's not our money. That's the Canyon Ferry Trust Board's money. That is not county money. That's their money. They said that they will pay for that research. Canyon Ferry Trust said that. The $40,000 that we gave for MBAC was also, we cut the mills that we were given to MBAC and BCDC were cut. And that money came out of the turn lane and went to them. The money that the interest that we made on the turn lane went to MBAC and BCDC. Those mills were put back into the fund that they still haven't been allocated.
And I appreciate the fact that we can sit here and promote all this growth, but we still can't take care of our basic needs. I'll be honest with you, $2,700 for a mental health eval from a Friday afternoon to a Monday morning cost Val $3,800 at Warm Springs. You're budgeting her $2,700. She can't control that no more than I can. You guys, no one wants to take care of business inside this house. I don't give two craps if another damn business walks into this goddamn county ever again. Because we can't support it. My caseload is $19,000 the last fiscal year. But you guys keep looking at me going, how are you going to find more revenue? How are you going to find more revenue? How are you going to find more revenue? It's not my job to find revenue. And I was very honest with the people and the public. I wrote a damn thing saying, the tickets I write do not come to me. They go to your guys' account, but they don't go to mine. Every damn ticket I write, 50% of it goes to you guys. It doesn't go to me. Every sheriff sale that I sell a property on, it doesn't go to me. Where's it go? It goes to the treasurer's office. Every rifle, every gun, every car I sell, guess where it goes? Road department. I am not in the business of making revenue, but you guys think that I can go out there and just pick the dollar bills off the tree and make the world go round. I'm here to keep people safe. From our roadways to our homes and everything in between. And guess what? I'm sick and tired of every damn person that's attached to the justice system, whether it be the clerk of court, the justice of the peace, the county attorney, or me, the sheriff, coroner, have to go out and find this revenue while everybody else gets to just, woo, here we go. Because I don't see Doug down here justifying his budget. I don't see Nicole down here justifying the $29,000 that she just got. Nor do I just see anybody else coming down here having to fight for every damn nickel and dime they get. Now, if I'm wrong, please feel free, Mike, and only Mike, feel free to tell me I'm wrong.
I don't disagree with you, Win, but the whole problem is your department, workload is ridiculous. And I don't know how we're supposed to generate more money to cover it.
Where does that come from? Because of the damn growth. You know, this growth. You know, great, your growth is killing me. It's killing my staff. You know, you guys told me you guys are going to have to cut $450,000 earlier this year. So that's 5.5 deputies because you don't want to close the jail. I'm going to tell you what. I'm gonna put some money on the jail because it's the goddamn county's responsibility to fund their own inmates. It's not the responsibility of the taxpayers of the state of Montana to fund the inmates of Broadwater County. And that's where I'm gonna put it. And guess what? If you guys don't wanna do it, I'm gonna close the goddamn jail and you're not gonna worry about it from that point forward. Because I am not gonna continue to go down this path of that jail trying to fund public safety. My job is to go out and keep people safe. It is not to build revenue so the county doesn't have to worry about raising taxes. Or we can give money to wherever we need to. And don't even get me started on June 12th of 2017 minutes where you guys, Laura Obert made the motion. She made the motion to fund the cash reserves of public safety, set up the memorial account, fix the health department, blah, 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 blah. There's about 12 damn things in it, 3-0, motion passed unanimously. The only damn thing that wasn't taken care of was cash reserves for public safety. Everything else was. $750,000 happened to go to the hospital, and guess what? Public safety is now $194,000 in the hole. And you guys sit here and look at me and say, how are you going to fix it? Raise your jail revenue, raise your jail revenue. And I'm sitting there with DOC kicking everybody out of damn jail. Read the hell in IR today. Oh, there's probably 12 cases in there that were dismissed by the courts or by the prosecutor. People aren't going to jail. And to sit there and bank on public safety, these people's lives, everybody sitting in this room, you're putting their lives on the line because you want growth. You don't want to fund what keeps people safe, what people expect to have. The number one responsibility of the people of the United States is, guess what? Public safety against terrorism and everybody else. The government wants the citizens to be safe. The same goddamn thing goes with the state of Montana. The state of Montana's number one priority is public safety. You come to Broadwater County, their number one priority is goddamn growth. And public safety is at the back of it. And so is the judicial system. Just give us more money, more money, more money, more money, and we're going to spend it. We don't even know where the hell it's going. No one can be accountable. If I ask you where some money is at, you tell me to go ask her. True or false?
True.
Okay, that's the wrong answer, Mr. Chair. Because you should have the same information she does. Because this is not the Broadwater Commission of Laura Obert, it's the Broadwater County Commissioners. There's 3 of them. You're all responsible. You all need to step up. If you're not going to step up, then step the hell out. Because you know what? I don't get to take those shortcuts and get to do things half-assed. The law says this, the law says that, that's what I'm going to do. And I don't mean I'm sitting here in a poor Val. She's been sitting here crying. Every time I turn around, she's crying because she just has a job that you guys keep saying you need to find revenue. She's not a revenue builder. She's a clerk of court. And this is a courthouse. This isn't the building of the county commissioners. It's a courthouse. And everything our founding fathers came upon was about justice and peace. And hold on to our constitutional rights, but you guys just want to walk all over them because you want growth. I apologize for interrupting. I apologize, but all this crap needs to be said. I'm tired of sitting here listening to a bunch of wanky freaking lies and bull crap. And I don't mean to be an ass about it, but damn it, enough's enough. And the only person that wants to stand up in the damn room is me. Everybody else wants to get in here and say the same damn thing, but they don't want to get up and do it because they're afraid of you guys. I'm not afraid of you. You guys know where my office is at? You want to come over and chastise me? Feel free. 519 Broadway, 2nd floor, first door on the right. But it's time to get things right. Harold Blatty told you guys back in the day, and Bob Dennehy told you during his exit interview, without public safety you have nothing. And you guys continue to just blow it right on past because you're so worried about parks and recs and trails and hoopla crap. Who cares about that when the public's not safe? And at 19,000 calls in the last fiscal year, don't tell me that we have a safe public right now. We have one of the most dangerous highways in the state. You tell me. I asked you the last fiscal year, what level of lawlessness are you willing to accept? Because that's exactly where we're going. And it's not going to be me. It's going to be the 3 of you. Now I understand you're on your way out and you're getting ready to retire. You've got 5 years. You've got 3 years. I suggest you guys get it figured out. And it appalls me that we have this conversation, especially when it comes to the judiciary system or justice and all. And you got a chairman that sits on the Board of Crime Control and the National Chair for Crime Control, and the least of her concerns in Broadwater County is public safety. And that's obviously apparent. So if anybody has a question for me, I'd be more than happy to answer it. Otherwise, I think I've worn out my welcome here this afternoon, and I'm going to go to my office.
Well, I would like to say one thing, Twin. I would argue with you about your $750,000 gift that we gave to the hospital. Number one, that's money that we can't spend that. That's a loan that's going back into that account. And we are getting interest on it.
Okay, did you rescind your
Twice
motion?
as much as what we got before.
Okay, did you
In
rescind
half
your
the
motion?
time.
Did you rescind your motion? No, you did not. You made a legal binding motion. And then you still, to this day, a year, 12 months later, 13 months later, you still have never rescinded it. So if you want to rescind it, that's fine. This is the kind of stuff that I get. This is why I want to come down here and jump up and down, because the fact is you guys put out these free willy-nilly emails, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and I still have all the emails from Commissioner Obert saying, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and all's good and well, and it doesn't happen. So, you know what? I didn't make the motion, I didn't approve the motion. You three approved it, she made it, I didn't do it. So I don't really care if you take the whatever $14 million and invest it in whatever the hell you want to at the state bank, because that's where all your money's at. I don't care what you do. All I'm telling you is fund the damn departments. Because we're not here to make money. None of us are here to make money. We're here to do a job. And it appalls me to think that we put a price tag on public safety. We put a price tag on the citizens of our community. And that's exactly what's happening. And I don't, like I said, I'm not trying to be an ass, Mike, but enough's enough. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing the same old rhetoric for the last 18 years of my career here. And it was never this bad. I shouldn't say 18 years, because prior to probably 2009, 2010, we never had these issues. But ever since then, we've had these issues. Over and over. And we've got the demographics. We've got the data to show you. Ever since probably 2009, 2010, everything's just gone down. Our revenue's gone down, or our taxes have gone down, blah, 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 blah. Expected revenue, sky high. You're trying to fund it. I'm tired of arguing about it. I'll put it in my paperwork, it'll balance. It's gonna take you guys writing some tax dollars, because it's not my job to find revenue. And I'm not gonna bank the lives of this community or the lives of my staff and their livelihood upon a guesstimate of how many people are gonna be in the county jail. Because that is soft money, and I've been telling you for years. Harold Blatty told you that. You guys never listen. You can't bank your public safety on soft money. So, if you want to argue something else, please.
I don't disagree with you. I
Let's
agree
fix
with
it,
you.
Mike. If you're not
The
going to
thing is that the public safety has been running off of detention. Detention was supposed to fund detention, not public safety.
Okay, you know what? If somebody can find this, and I've been here longer than, the only person that's been in the sheriff's office longer than me is that man sitting right next to you. If I can find the literature, somebody find the literature said that from point A of 2003 when that jail was approved, and it was starting to get built in 2003, please find me a document where it's recorded that says that from this point forward, the Broadwater County Detention Center is going to fund public safety and the jail itself. Because you know what? Other than that, it's hearsay. And the fact of the matter is, it was an asinine thought process because we were a small county. We had 4,000 people in it in 2003. That dog don't hunt no more. It's great to say it. It's great to go, oh yeah, we can do this. Woo. But guess what? DOC's kicking people out left and right. And they're all coming back on ours. So, like I said, we already told you last year it would have cost you $305,000 just in housing costs to put our inmates that we arrested from our community in Gallatin County. But what do you guys levy for taxes for the jail? A big goose egg. Because you expect everybody else to pay the bill. Instead of being responsible for your own things, you expect somebody else to do it for you. And that's not fair to me, it's not fair to my undersheriff, it's not fair to my jail commander, it's not fair to my staff. Because you know what, we work really hard, really long hours, and all we want is a fair shake at trying to do something. And hell, every time we turn around, we're getting kicked in the teeth. And if somebody doesn't say it, if I didn't say this, no one else would. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And if anybody wants to tell me I'm wrong, I'll be fine with it. But you know what? I've got the history, I've got the data. I've been the longest running consecutive law enforcement officer here since Rich Thompson, for Christ's sakes. I think I know what's going on in the sheriff's office of Broadwater County. So if anybody wants to argue with me, please feel free. If you have a question, please ask. I'd love to hear it.
What can we say?
Hell, whatever you want, John.
You've said it all.
Good job. Good job. Let's stand up. Good job. Thank
I
you.
apologize for taking your time,
Don't apologize.
but
It needed to be done. Ask Brad Campbell for the money over here. We'll get that money.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just want to add a couple of thoughts here. One is that the law says that the counties shall fund the courts, with the exception of some things that the state will then pay on a reimbursement basis. I looked that up the other day. The county will do it. These surcharges, these revenues, these different things that come back are all in the law. If you look at them, they're all done to assist and to aid the funding. There's no way that they're gonna pay the cost of running that court. They're just not going to. There's some things long-term that we can do that we're working on as far as going out and collecting fees, et cetera, but that is a super time-intensive task. And there's also a task that can't guarantee that it's gonna happen within a certain fiscal year. Part of that is because if you look at a particular case, someone's convicted and they have some surcharges and fees or whatever. Well, if they have a restitution amount owed to a victim, by law, that goes first. That's priority, paying that restitution to that victim. And so there's a lot of these costs or these fees that may be in that whole accounts receivable to the court that are never gonna get paid, because they have other things by law that are first priority. And you're probably dealing with people that have a limited ability to pay anyway. So, I guess it doesn't make any sense, and I guess I wanna add a couple things. There's also the expenses, the big expenses that the court has. They're outside of Val's control. The one that really got us this last year was the mental health commitments. And we saw, I don't know if this was a record year or not, it sure seemed like a record year. That's completely beyond anybody's control. We run into someone and they're in the throes of a serious mental health crisis, we have to take care of them. And frankly, those costs might go up, because the law says that they have a right to a jury trial if they want it. And we are now seeing defense lawyers invoking the right to a jury trial for each of those commitments. And they're starting to do it in Helena. And if that happens, those costs are gonna triple. And by law, they've got that right. And so there's nothing we can do about it. But the other thing it'll do, not only because we'll have to bring in a jury and pay all those costs, but they won't happen instantly. Like we can do in a mental commitment, they always happen at night, for number one. So the quickest you can complete it is in 3 days. So you're looking at 3 days of costs of a journey home or at St. Pete's or sometimes at Warm Springs. And then after that's done, if they are committed, then it's no longer our cost, it's the state cost. Well, if they invoke the right to a jury, it might be 2-3 weeks that we're waiting to have that final hearing. And then we are paying that whole cost of keeping that person somewhere under mental health and under emergency detention. So if that starts happening, those costs they're gonna multiply significantly. And that's not anything that the clerk of court can control. And we've talked a lot, I know you have other committees where you talk about the needs for mental health and the needs in this community for more mental health care. And we're seeing it, and it's not just us, we're seeing it statewide. I spend a lot of time talking to the faculty and the staff at the Montana State Hospital and all the different folks that we deal with in the Helena and down even to the Bozeman and Butte area. And everyone's experiencing the same thing. So that's not something where we're gonna see revenue. By the way, there's no revenue or monetary cost imposed on anybody who goes through that proceeding, unlike a criminal proceeding. So there is no payback fee that comes from a respondent that's in that situation. The other thing is the jury trials. I mean, we had one jury trial in last fiscal year, one in the previous year, but we've had years where we've had 3, and it really all comes down to the uniqueness of each case and whether they're willing to make a deal or whether they're willing to go to trial. But some of these cases that we've had, we have had to call in a lot of jurors because of whether it's a notorious case or someone's well known or whatever it might be. And again, that's nothing that the clerk of court can affect. And so I think it's very clear And by the way, all 4 judges in this judicial district also feel it's very clear that it's the county's responsibility to fund the court to the extent that revenue does not fund it. So Val does not have a legal responsibility to balance her budget. The county has a legal responsibility to balance its budget, and that means the commission. So it's bizarre, in my view, to even have this conversation, telling Val she has to find a way to balance her budget. Her budget's as lean as you can get, unless you start just laying people off. And the costs that she's going to have to deal with, number one, if they're gonna be reimbursed by the state, they will be reimbursed, although there'll be a delay, for sure. But secondly, some of those costs are costs that I say, the majority of those costs are costs that she can't control. So, my view is, use the general fund to balance that budget, and to the extent that things can be reimbursed, they'll be reimbursed. And if our metal commitment costs go way up, that is not something that she can be held accountable for. We have a constitutional and a legal responsibility to pay those costs, and then we will seek reimbursement from the state, even though it'll be on a timeline.
I guess unless somebody else has something else to say, I'll finish with my discussion. I'm just asking that the commissioners do, try to find the revenue or to complete my budget to the full amount. If I cut my budget by $6,000 for the jury, that would leave my ending cash balances as a minus $8,239. And then that would leave my 10% reserve at $150,300. Oh, I can't even think. Thank you. What did you say? $15,034.60. So that would mean that I would need to get that amount of money, $23,273.60. And with that, I will leave it up to the commissioners.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, just a couple of comments. I hope this is the last time we have this kind of hostility in any county meeting, be it commission, be it another board, be it in public. Two, what we've heard time and time again is that there was some erroneous comments made, all the different accusations against funding, those are all inaccurate. But I do want to say, the levying taxes for the jail, that's been done for the past, I don't know how many years. But we are currently levying money for the jail specifically. And that was put into play in 2011 with the help of John Flynn. It's 7.25 mils. Perhaps not enough, perhaps it is. It was put together back then by a formula, and that is now the purview of the sheriff. One question that we always have to ask, we don't get to just budget or balance our budget. We have to take everything that everyone gives us from their departments and balance that with the entire county. It is up to department heads to balance their own budgets. But the question always comes up, who do you defund? So in 2013, there were 5 different entities that we were literally asked to defund so that we'd have enough money to give the sheriff's department, because there's never gonna be enough money for the sheriff's department. We could find $1 million, which we don't have. We have a finite amount of money. There's never going to be enough. But we were asked literally to defund extension, senior services, the library, and the museum. We didn't do it because we need a community that serves everyone. Every citizen that we have out there, every 6,000 people in Broadwater County has a pet department that we fund. For some, it's public safety. For some, it's another department. For some, it's those ones we were asked to cut out, to get rid of. A couple years ago, when Elaine Gravely was still here, a suggestion was made that we cut clerk and recorder and treasury office to make room for more money to go to public safety. Those are choices we cannot make. We are one county, and if you look at the general fund, the department that upholds the justice that we just heard about is clerk and recorder treasurer office. They're the ones that bring in the money for the general fund. So, we don't get to just look at one department. We have to look at the whole county. And we have to look at 6,000 people and what's best for the whole. So, that's all I've got. In light of the hostilities from earlier, Mike, you know what, I'm gonna suggest that we postpone the agenda. I think we can pick it up maybe Wednesday or Thursday this week, but, I don't see anything constructive getting done.
That's not fair.
I would think we'll move on with the hospital district board. Is there anyone here from the hospital district? No.
They gave us their presentation via mail, so we could go ahead and review it that way.
So-
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I hope I'm not out of order, but I think there's some people here, including myself, that never got an opportunity to ask questions at the last hospital district board meeting regarding this proposal that's before you. And I'm wondering if that's going to be an opportunity today for the citizens to ask questions, because it was literally shut down at that board meeting.
I guess we can answer whatever questions we can answer.
It's unfortunate we don't have a representative of that board here.
Yes. So this is basically has two requests, this has a request. This is just their budget, right? This is their request for the budget.
That is correct.
So the request for the budget is the Broadwater Hospital District trustees hereby request an appropriation of $354,012 in county funds for district's fiscal 2018-19 budget in compliance with MCA 734-2132. We certify that the amount is necessary and proper. Last year, the county allocated 2.33 mils of county property tax revenue to the hospital district. In addition, the district received approximately $170,000 from a voter-approved levy that is now expired and will yield nothing for fiscal 2018-19. For this year's budget, we ask that the county again allocate 2.33 mils of property tax money to the district. In addition, we request $320,000 from county revenues for finance repairs, maintenance, and replacement of infrastructure equipment as listed in the attached document, and for use as the Board of Trustees may find necessary for the acquisition, betterment, operation, administration of hospital facility. the priority needs are for east roof repair, 65,000. Life cycle and replacement plan maintenance. Air handling unit 1 condensing units, 63,250. Air handling unit 1 controls and replacement, 97,050. DDC control head end, 30,000. AHU and CU5 DDC control, 66,000. Ongoing parts replacement, toilet flush valve plumbing, 8,700. Clinic floor replacement, 3,500. Tub motor and valves, 5,600. And sidewalk replacement, 15,000. Public comment? Go ahead, Tim.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Tim Ravendall. At the district board meeting that was held over at the school, we were told that the board was requesting a $200,000 per year, 3-year mill levy to be reinstated, or to, used to be $170,000, they requested $200,000. Where is the rest of this, I'm gonna say $350,000, pushing this up to $500,000 that this board is requesting for this hospital? Where's that coming from? And why weren't we allowed to have input on that as the elected board that's bringing this towards you for approval? I'll just end with my concerns are as a taxpayer. I urge this board to deny every nickel until we get accountability and transparency of what's going on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I second that.
I would, one correction there is they asked for 200, the last mill levy was for 287,000.
That was the old one that got turned down 60%.
That was
by
the
board.
meeting at the school, was $287,000. The one we had last week in here was for 200,000, was, the discussion was
Okay,
for
that's the bill I'm
200,000.
talking about that they're asking for, is 200,000. The old one was turned down by the voters.
The 287 one,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
So we're on the same page there.
yes.
The board came to the people of Broadwater County and asked for $200,000.
Incorrect. Can I just quickly,
Go
if you
ahead.
don't mind? So Jenny Klaus, CFO of the hospital, I think you've got there's two things going on here. One is an ask for a mill levy for $200,000 from the district board, which you've declared. That is to go on the ballot in November of 18. So it would hit the tax rolls, November of 19. Right, is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes, okay, so that's one instance. Then you mentioned the $350,000.
Just by what?
That is separate, so what that is just like every other county department, the hospital district, that is also a county department, put in their budget for this next year. They showed what if they did everything that they had planned to do originally, the budget is $354,000. Doesn't mean they're getting it, doesn't mean they can't try to find it elsewhere, but there's certainly a need for a budget, there's a budget for that. So those are two separate things.
Understood.
Okay. That's just my clarification.
Yeah.
It wasn't a $500,000 ask today, which is what you said, Tim.
Well, I guess if you add 2 plus 2, if the board is looking for $200,000 a year mill levy, and they're looking for an additional $300,000 from other sources, wherever that be, 2 separate programs looking for, my math comes up to nearly $500,000 that's before this board to consider.
No, it's not.
No.
The $200,000 mill levy does not come on the tax rolls until next May.
But it has to be approved to go to the ballot by this
All
body.
we have to approve is that we can send it to the ballot, people vote for it, it passes or fails. That doesn't mean that we approve the $200,000, it goes to the voters to approve the $200,000. What they're asking for is $320,000. That's what they're asking for, that affects this year's budget. The mill levy does not affect this year's budget, it doesn't come on until next year.
Okay?
Yes.
Why waste the money whenever we've already said 60 to 40 no, to put it on the ballot, so why don't you please say no to them and refuse to put it on the ballot? Because to me, that's a waste of money. And that money we could put into our general fund or wherever, whatever, to do something with rather than spend it on. You guys are obviously gonna get another no. It's pretty obvious we've said no before, and it's gonna also be another no, so why waste this money? Thank you.
I have a question.
Cory?
If a mill levy was approved by the voters in November, can it, I thought it could go on the tax rolls for next May. It can't, that's too fast. Has to first be then levied by the commission in the next budget, is that correct?
Right, it cannot go on the tax rolls until the next November.
Okay. So it'd be the assessment of 2019 tax.
Correct.
Could we get copies of that letter? I don't think anyone has that document.
Yeah.
Want to make some copies?
Any other
Whatever
questions?
their budget request was. Is that what they mailed in? 20?
Al?
Yes, Alan Wright. If I understand this correctly, the two different issues, one for 300 approximately, one for 200,000, both of these are coming through the Broadwater County Hospital Board, correct? Are both of these going through? And this board is mainly to keep and repair, maintenance and upkeep on county property, land and building, correct? So, how many different areas, other than what you just mentioned, can that money be spent on? Can it be spent outside of repairs, maintenance, and replacement for?
It depends on how they word the mill levy. If they worded the mill levy, that it can only be used for repairs and maintenance, then it can only be used for repairs and maintenance. If it says that it's for operational costs, then it's for operational costs, and I don't believe that that would include salaries. But it does include mechanical equipment that they have in the hospital. Yes, Dwayne?
Dwayne Holm. It was my understanding that the county let the hospital, they don't charge them any rent, any lease money. They were to keep the maintenance up on the hospital, on the building. Now, why are we paying for that again when the hospital is self-sufficient? I don't see anywhere in this this mill levy deal, 200,000 is for 3 years. That's $600,000. What are we talking about, people? Let's wake up. When are we gonna learn that you can't rob Peter to pay Paul? Wynn was completely right. It's a sad situation when we don't have the money to do it. You tell everybody else they gotta cut their budget. They gotta tighten their belt. Let's, everybody, including you guys, stop. Take a look at the gosh darn sun. Take a look at the moon, the stars, whatever. But let's please. I can't afford more taxes. I make $20,000 a year. Which one of you guys want to live on that? Pay taxes the whole damn works. That's all I make. Huh? Yeah, I'm on loan. But what can we do? You're gonna get us all out of Broadwater County. Senior citizens can't make it. Thank you.
I can address a little bit of the lease. So the hospital district has a lease with the hospital for the facility. The payment is set up, one of the loans, and Jenny can help me if I lose which one. One of the loans that the hospital district got through the Board of Investments requires that they basically have sufficient revenue to pay that loan off. So the lease agreement is established so that the hospital pays a monthly lease payment to the district that is sufficient to cover the repayment of that particular loan. Is that accurate so far?
Correct.
Okay. The second thing is, and the stuff I did the first couple of years extensively, a lot of research on the parameters of what hospital districts can use their money for. And it is accurate that because of the category of the type of hospital we're dealing with, that funds from the hospital district can be used for operations. However, if the hospital district requests funds from the county for a specific purpose, such as, I think a roof, something about a roof was mentioned today, then the county gives them the money for that roof, that's what that money needs to be spent on. It can't be then turned and, spent on whatever, something completely different, because I think then you're not following the budget appropriation details or requirements of the county. So, I don't know if that helps at all.
In addition to that, if I can just add, there's kind of a non-written agreement in that lease, is that the hospital also gives uncompensated care to the tune of about $500,000 a year. So much like involuntary commitments of a district court, we don't know how much that is gonna be from year to year. So about $33,000 a month is given to free care. So that, it's not written in the lease, but that's almost an understanding. If the county wants to cover $33,000 a year for uncompensated care, then the hospital can afford to pay $33,000 in rent a month, sorry, not a year, a month.
Why don't we just make this an emergency room where they send them to Bozeman or to Helena with the ambulance all the time? The ambulance is the only one making any money here evidently. Hopstead come in here and say he's made $100,000 and some last month.
That the ambulance did?
No, the hospital.
Yeah, and the month before, we had a $100,000 loss. So, the hospital is in its best financial structure it's been in the last 5 years. I think that's important for people to understand. So it's time to start maintaining the building. It's no longer going, before it was, we're treading, we're underwater, we're begging for people to help pay the operations. We're no longer
And they
begging to
did.
pay. Absolutely, the community came together and supported it. And you have a phenomenal facility and healthcare in your community that only 8% of people actually get sent out of here that come. So that's pretty low for people that are using. We're more than just an emergency room that sends people out. There's huge care there. If you had to come and get transfusions every month, because you can't afford, you already said you're low income, you can't afford to drive to Helena every month to get your transfusions.
I do.
But we're here. Wow, well, that's a
I
lot of
drive.
tank of gas that you could put towards your community.
Yeah,
So,
and I wouldn't darken the door.
I'm sorry for that, but
I just want
Anyway, was
to
that a
add
good
one
question?
thing.
go ahead.
I don't agree in unwritten agreements as part of leases. That doesn't
No, it's
exist.
not, it's a
It's
legal
a-
agree, it's Medicare, it's for us to be a Medicare facility.
Yeah,
We
so-
have to provide care regardless, you're right, it's not part of the lease. It's not.
Because they provide that care, that's why they're eligible to receive funds for operations. That's specifically a requirement of a hospital.
Yeah, that's not the
To
lease.
receive funds through a hospital district for operations, they have to do what they're doing. It's not part of our lease agreement.
Correct,
anyway.
no, I agree with you, yeah, that's clear.
I recommend that you put this off until you have a hospital district board member here. I watched the video of the meeting and I was concerned that there were several questions from the public that weren't answered, that were purposely not answered and deflected. And I plan to visit with the board about that prior to our next meeting. But my recommendation is you have a meeting when you have board members here who can answer both your questions and members of the public's questions about this budget.
I second
Tim?
Mr. Chairman, Tim Ravenel, Mr. Swanson beat me to the punch on that. I really highly request that this board postpone taking any action on either the mill levy or seeking additional funds from a different source until we can have the proper representation and transparency on the district board, who is a taxing authority to the people of this Montana. They work for us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion, John?
John Wright. I'm sitting here listening to all that's going on, what Wynn said, how it was said, how it was responded by Laura, and what's been said in here totally. And everybody's ignoring the real possibility of the problem, not possibility, the fact. We have state statutory and all of the adjoining counties around Broadwater County. We have a constitutional common law form of government here in the county, and nobody's blending it. They drag in this, and it filters out because they got a different set of laws. And you can't mix these laws and come up with anything but a failure. And that's exactly what we got now. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have just a question. My name's Brooke Dolan. I was at that meeting as well, and I would agree with Tim that there wasn't a place where anyone could ask a question, because I had questions and it was very clear that it was only for comments. There was a lot of things that probably could have been said, but one thing that I don't know if this is the time to ask, or if you would know the answer to this, is the hospital going to be asking for PILT money as well on top of all of this?
No, this would probably be funded by PILT.
Oh, okay, so
Because-
that's not on top of that then?
No, because
Okay.
they didn't get the mill levy, which was $170,000, and they did not get an IGT transfer, which was
Okay.
$208,000, I believe, last year.
Okay, because it was, like I said, we didn't get asked questions, so a lot of us came out of there not understanding.
So as of now, they've got no funding from the county whatsoever. They have no mill levy. They have 2.33 mil. They have no mill levy. They have received no IGT.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
So this budget would be built?
What's that?
This budget would come out of built?
I would assume, yes.
Wake up, people.
Any other discussion?
I do have one more. So in prior years, there was a allocation of general fund mills from the county in addition to the special mill levy mills that had been voted on by the public. And this request doesn't seem to break that down. Are they asking for, is that what they're asking for in the third paragraph? That the allocate 2.33 mils of property tax money to the district?
That's the,
Was that, so was,
that's the original same one that's always been out there. The bills for the general fund that's always been there.
so 2.33 was not the general fund plus the special mills?
No, that was always just the
How
general
much was the
fund.
special mills? Like,
About 30,000. Oh, the special mills was the mill levy, right?
Yeah,
That was
how
about-
many-
I don't wanna say it was either 14 or 16 mills, something like that.
Was it that big?
It was 170,000.
Okay.
And the 2.33 was not general fund.
Oh, it wasn't, sorry, I apologize.
That's
Sorry.
fine.
Where
Small
was
little
it from?
Piece of detail.
Where was it from?
We have, Debbie can do better than not me, but we have a number of different funds. So that was its own fund. So extension is a standalone fund, fair is a standalone fund, airport is a standalone fund, hospital district standalone fund. That's where they had the 2.33 mils.
But those were levied from, those were mills that would have been general fund mills had they not been separated out.
No, not necessarily. No.
Oh, I did a lot of history on that back in the day. Thought that's where they came from.
Do all mills that are not standalone mills, are they all general fund mills?
Just floating mills. And there's just a finite amount of those, and they're distributed to lots of different funds as deemed necessary by the commission. Could be a hospital, it could be a museum, it could be none of those, it could be all of those. It just depends from year to year to year.
But those are,
But they're
those
part of
are,
the floating mills. So general fund gets some of them, but then they're also shared countywide. They could not share those to anybody and keep them all in the general fund. But they choose to share them, distribute them amongst the other funds.
right.
Yeah.
Those were, as I understood, and I can't remember how long ago this was, those were mills that would have been either used for some other special use or could have been general fund mills.
Right, and that's And they just, it's been that way since I've been here. All those funds get a certain portion of the floating mills. It hasn't changed.
So I would be in favor of tabling this until we have a representative of the district board.
I would suggest we ask the full board to attend our
Okay.
next meeting Monday and take care of everything then.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so does the Broadwater Hospital District Board, is there a certain amount of allocated money that goes to them automatically each year?
The 2.33 mils goes,
Well,
It
if
has
you
to be
levy it as
requested.
part of your budget, if you do it as part of your budget.
2.33 mils does.
Which has been the standard for a while, I guess, until it failed or... Okay.
Okay, fiscal 19 county budget planning and build allocations.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of comments on this. I won't make any suggestions or, couple of things, again, back to Wynn's presentation. I want to talk about a couple of things, but one is economic development. I don't know why that has such a negative connotation, but economic development is the only tool we have as commissioners to be proactive to help our county. Economic development is where we get the increase in mill value to help the sheriff's department have more money, to help the county attorney, district court, and all the other departments that we are responsible for. Economic development is one of 3 departments in the county that actually has legislation tagging with it funding. There's a Montana Association of Counties Special Committee for Economic Development, headed by Commissioner Joe Briggs in Cascade County. There's a National Association of Counties Economic Development Special Committee that advocates for economic development for counties at the national level at Congress. Economic development is a vital tool we have to see more money for these departments that are experiencing more calls, more growth. Also, we have a housing committee that was formed. You've been to the meetings, I've been to the meetings, and what we talked about was the lack of affordable housing in Broadwater County. And something that's been brought out at each and every one of those meetings has not been, let's focus on low-income housing. It's been, let's focus on better paying jobs so people can better afford the housing that we have. Isn't that better for our economy to actually have everybody making more money versus us shooting like a rocket for the bottom of the barrel where all the scum sits? We want to bring everybody up. We don't need to be shooting to the bottom. As far as the accusations about the economic development money, I'm not sure where that came from, but I'm going to tell you it's entirely false. The turn lane, there were 2 questions at the time. One is, let's go ahead, there was a faction of citizens, some of you are here, that wanted to see that subdeveloper and his development go into bankruptcy. For this board, Mike, you've seen it yourself, Rolling Glen that went bankrupt has been the gift that keeps on giving, she said sarcastically. Every meeting we have complaints about Rolling Glen. Things didn't get done, they weren't funded, promises were not kept. The last thing we want as a county is to have bankrupt subdivisions. We worked with our economic development arm to put together a package that actually netted the county in excess of what we invested in people's lives on that highway, $22,000, and we realized it this year. That's the benefit of economic development. The $40,000 was never for MBAC. That was to hire a woman named, I think it's Jessica, I could be wrong. She's an expert on TEDs, Targeted Economic Development Districts. Why are we interested in a TED? Because it will help us to fund a law enforcement center on the southern end of the county, where we have very little presence right now. Last year, we okayed a deputy to be hired specifically at that end. Didn't happen. We got a new deputy who's serving the Townsend area. So economic development is our tool to be able to fund, hopefully, a law enforcement center in Wheatland. As far as the $25,000 with the trust board, folks, that was a requirement of the National Park Service when we went through the process in the name of economic development to actually acquire recreation property that people use and love from the feds. They're actually now Broadwater County and the city of Townsend joint recreation opportunities. We're talking the golf course, the softball fields, and the Rod and Gun Club. This is a benefit to us. As far as the hospital loan, we netted $22,500 last week for the county. That's a benefit to us as a community. And as far as this, the hoopla about us having the audacity to ask department heads to live within their budgets and cut their budgets, we asked departments to cut 2%. And not of everything, just their operations. It is a pittance. 2%. And guess what? That money for each of those departments wasn't being taken from those departments. It was being put back into those departments in their cash reserves. So there's an awful lot of misinformation out there, folks. Facebook is not a news source. It isn't. And as far as attacking planning, I'm going to say let's end that right now. We're one county and we shouldn't be pitting one department against the next. Where the clerk and recorder treasurer brings in almost all the money for the general fund, the other departments within the general fund spend it. You know what, it's a partnership. But let's not be cutting off one for the benefit of the other. We're in this together and the hostility's got to end. I've got one more thing I'm going to say, and that is, I've been working like a dog the past year to try and save and keep the Montana Board of Crime Control. I was put on the Council for the National Criminal Justice Association because the legislature cut the person who was on that council. The Montana Board of Crime Control brings in $18 million a year, and that is specifically targeted to law enforcement at the local government level. You divide $18 million by 56 counties, and you're looking at $321,000 per county in the form of grants. You know what? I know it takes some reporting. I know it takes some time. Brooke, I'm sure you spend a lot of hours on the reporting for your grant, but that shouldn't be the only grant that we have from the Board of Crime Control. I spent weeks trying to save JAG funding, which is what funds our Missouri River Drug Task Force that we are a part of. Broadwater County has the opportunity to get, we used to get 250 grand in grants. We have those even more now. 95% of the grants with the Board of Crime Control are specific for law enforcement. Why aren't we getting some of those? Why not ask the entire United States to help with the funding rather than just the property owners of Broadwater County? We should be spreading the burden. Most of the crime we hear about is on this highway, which is not just traveled by Broadwater County citizens, but by people from all over the country and all over the state. Those grants are an avenue to have other people helping to pay for law enforcement, not just Broadwater County citizens. Going for grants is responsible management of a department. I think that's all I have to say, but I want those facts known. I want them out there. That's all I've got.
Okay, Debbie. Budget planning and build allocations.
You guys have determined where you wanted to spend your pilt. Unless there's been changes